how do you see it sort of applies to everyday life, doing that sort of thing?
Well, it's just think about that. Would you remember when our friend from London was up here staying a few weeks ago, and she was quite ill and was having difficulty in London where she lives to actually find herself relaxing. And so we taught her to build her own sanctuary in this way, didn't we? Rather like
That's right.
I did just
yes.
now, you
yes.
know, and to create the sanctuary. But in that case, because she'd want to use it in an ongoing way, not just on one occasion and then wave it away, we suggested that she actually did it in a room in her house where she could be absolutely private and create the space in the same way, probably so she could actually sit in it, and when she was feeling perhaps a little stressed or not able to cope with things, or even if it was pain in the illness, she could actually go and sit in it and actually bring herself to a place of calmness until she felt able to go out and face the world again.
And so she left it there each day?
Yes, and
came back into it?
Yes, and we suggested that she might want to bless it with a colour and an energy like we talked about this morning, and also she might want to physically bring some things like from her Buddhist background. She might like to create something around the Buddha or something like that.
I remember that she wrote and says she creates actually a Buddha, thought form.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
Left it
yes.
sort of halfway up the wall.
So it's like you can use it in a combination of the physical things. If you wanted to create a little altar or something like that, perhaps have stones or crystals that have certain energies that you feel are helpful to you. You can also have those in this space.
I can see it'd be very good if you're laying ill in bed to create a sort of healing capsule for yourself over it and seed it with healing. And
yes.
if you're into colour therapy, colours and whatever.
Yes.
All from the mind.
Yes. And it's interesting because in a way, what I've seen happening too with this when you create thought forms is that people actually respect them and come.
Well, consciously, they know they're there.
They don't know, but they leave your space somehow. It's difficult to exactly describe, but you know, you can actually feel when somebody doesn't want to be disturbed or whatever because they've created something around them, and this is done often quite.
But people do
easily.
say, I've heard people say, you're invading my psychic space.
Yes.
You're invading my space.
Yes.
Back off.
Yes, back off. Yes, it's true.
Yes.
It's true. Yes.
I think it's amazing possibilities. Well, not possibilities because it exists when people come together in a group and consciously do something together, rather like a church where people of a sort of common mind come together and consciously create thought form, although they may not describe it in that way. But definitely their prayer combined and often led, like a guided meditation, it's guided prayer.
Yes.
And together that thought form builds, and who knows what happens on the other levels.
Yes. But I mean, with things like churches or cathedrals or places of sanctuary where there's been continual worship, there's a huge energy has built up, and it stays there.
Yes.
You know, because you can feel it when you go in. It's quite
because nobody says, nobody waves it away. They wouldn't dare.
No, but it just, I don't think it's needed to be waved away.
No,
because the church has a certain use.
Yes.
And sanctuary has a certain use.
Yes.
And this is why it's probably not a good thing to mix these energies up too much.
Mm-hmm. So I think what it would be rather nice is if we, I think people of goodwill, friends tend to be people of goodwill, otherwise they wouldn't be friends. Bring some friends together and co-create. That for me is a wonderful gift, and of time and also experience. And it'd be rather nice to draw some of our friends together to see what we can create.
Why not?
Right. So that's what we did. We invited 4 of our friends down.
Yes, and there's Betsy, and now John's just coming out through the front door. Duncan Fennell is behind the camera, and he's down across the more
Over the
wilderness
bridge?
part, over the bridge, vast stream.
Here way up to a glade in the forest just above Sluy Lodge on Oran's Hill. Session in the house beforehand, the exercise was, and basically it was each individual would tune in to what was appropriate for the site to create in her minds.
So now we're just
And that's
transferring from our minds to our paper whatever we get for the structure.
Exactly.
and you can get a position for it as well.
And it can go off the paper if it wants to go off the paper.
Okay.
And the great thing was we each had a piece of paper and we were going to draw on it, but only with thought, not using pencil or crayon or anything. So we're each tuning into the site, and at the end of about 10 minutes we brought all our pieces of paper together. Each one looks totally blank, but full of a created, imagined shape,
Yes, yes.
design, a sculpture.
So now we needed to choose which one, and we did this by asking John.
Who would like to do this? I'm not going to volunteer.
I'll hold them while somebody does it. I'll be a holder.
So John's going to be like our tuning representative, and Duncan's there with 6 sheets of paper, and John's just getting out his pendulum, which is a piece of string tied on the end of his copper bracelet. And it's a very, very exciting moment where nobody knows what's on the paper except the one designer who designed their particular one. And John is going over each one.
Yes, to feel which one is appropriate for this site. So it's not a competition as such, that it has nothing to do with personality, it's just a question of which one of these designs, which it could be anyone, don't they, chasing a piece of paper.
Interestingly, he said he was very sceptical at the beginning, and provided we accepted his scepticism, he would participate. And in fact, he came to the fore quite well, didn't he?
He did come in, he was...
That's going very well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
I think Duncan's saying that that's definitely one we'll set to one side as a possible. Yes.
That's another one.
That's another one that seemed to have...
So it's the motion of... It looks as though John is actually doing it, but it's the pendulum linked to John's mind and attunement to each piece of paper, which is giving the indication.
That one, no,
it's a bit
slow. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's
no.
done.
To ahead, yes.
That's another one that's
John trying to push that one, and it wouldn't even move.
definitely not the one.
No.
No, doesn't seem to be
No,
the
that's
one
a
either.
silent one, isn't it?
Yeah. So with these we came up with the 2 that had the most energy, and we decided we'd go between and see which one now had the most energy, and that was the sign we'd choose.
So there's one underneath.
There's a bit on there, look at that one.
Yes,
Mm.
not as much as
Not
we
much,
did now.
no.
Let's see what happens with this one. Wow, look at that, it's really
Yes,
going now.
it's going
Yes.
round, isn't it?
Yes.
Going around.
Yes.
Betsy's looking over to Sven and says, I think that one's yours. It's quite exciting this when you're in it, you know, that...
It's definitely that one.
Yes. Nobody knows what it is.
This is
No.
So, Duncan looked at the paper and says, Sven on.
Yes.
Betsy's asking who came second, and in fact it was her.
Yes.
Her design came second,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
proves those 2 are quite in tune with energy fields
And
and
with nature particularly.
ceremonies,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So So it's
So, Sven, come and tell us all about it. What have you got for us?
It has to tell you, doesn't it?